Pioneer has just opened a spanking new R&D lab in Bengaluru. The Japanese company has big plans for India, tapping into the latest technologies that are driving the automotive world. And talking to me about this and more, I have Mr. Shiro Yahara, who's the President and CEO of Pioneer Corporation. Thank you for joining us. And Siva Subramanian, who heads the Mobility and AI division for Pioneer Corporation. Mr. Yahara, I'd like to start with you. Pioneer as a brand, I mean, I've grown up with it. I've had Pioneer systems in my car for 40 years back. You're synonymous with in-car audio, but clearly the brand has transitioned significantly, tapping into latest technologies. You've gotten into AI, ADAS. How's the transition been? And clearly you've really witnessed a strong kind of a rapid super fast change in the way the, let's say, automotive electronics have evolved.
Oh, thank you for asking. Pioneer Corporation was established by the founder name of Nozomu Matsumoto-san in Japan almost 90 years ago. He developed the first kind of dynamic speaker for acoustic audio speakers for home use, right? That was a starting point. Since then, Pioneer has developed many worldwide first kind of product for home audio, then car audio, car navigation system, information system, and laser disc, and the plasma TV, and such, many things. So the name of Pioneer is kind of a DNA which is still embedded throughout the company's employees across the world. And I think since I joined the company as a CEO, I didn't have to explain when meeting with people.
What Pioneer is? Everyone knows Pioneer.
Not in Japan, but all over the world. I didn't have to explain who we are, what we are.
Right, yeah.
Because everybody says, like you said, well, I enjoyed experiencing using a Pioneer audio system, like I do, and the Siva does similar. So it's kind of excitement, and not just addressing the history, but still embedding and creating a new innovative product and technologies. Right? Now our business portfolio is pretty much focused on the automotive systems.
Right.
And the product line includes infotainment systems, including car navigation system, which is very strong, well received in the Japanese market as well. And also Dashcam, which Siva leads, and also the car audio sound system, which is a component of the speakers and amplifier and the digital processors as well. So, and customers ranging from car manufacturers, OEM customers, and aftermarket for consumer use, right? And also enterprise, such as fleet owners, and insurance company, rental companies,
right.
And I think technology in automotive system is very fast evolving, changing, right? And so we are excited about not just bringing a new innovative technology in automotive, but trying to reaching out to the global customers for both OEM and consumers. Fortunately, because of a strong brand of a Pioneer from home audio systems, our brand name is well known in wherever the geography is, and through the channels we have been successful maintaining the #1 position in the aftermarket car audio and car AV systems.
Right.
In aftermarket.
So, Yahara-san, just sticking with you, the aftermarket market. I mean, how is it? Is it because today everything is so integrated into a car? It puts some challenges on aftermarket solutions. How have you adapted to this? Because clearly, it's not like when earlier we had a 2-DIN and a 1-DIN format, which was very easy for aftermarket solutions and brands like yourselves. In this new age, where you have fully integrated infotainment systems, which are linked to the electrical architecture with the car, to come in as an aftermarket supplier or solution. I mean, how have you adapted in this new environment?
I think at the end of the day, the car manufacturers are looking at how the consumers are looking for, right? And not just today, but in the 5-10 years, right? And we have a long experience into how consumers use the cars, you know.
Right.
And so we know how to design the infotainment system, including a car navigation routing, right? So
Right.
that it can capture us immediately, quickly, not just watching the screen for 2 seconds, which is dangerous, right? And I think even though the new car development, 1D and 2D space is declining, gradually, but still the huge amount of the used car on the road,
Right.
which
That's
requires
a big market for
yeah,
you.
yeah, and the users wants the high-end technology. But today I have this car, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
we have a technology, not just technology, but a product and offerings to fill the gap, bridging the gap, right?
Got it.
And so this feedback from the consumer is very, very useful for us to propose to the new car manufacturer. The consumers, the preference is like this, and there's a different segment, blah blah blah, right? So I think that is a very positive ecosystem within our company, and proposing to the car manufacturers.
Right, right.
The not only is this market huge, and as Yahara-san pointed out, the people are buying even used cars, right? And because the car life is like 12,
That's right, yeah.
12 average life, 12 years old, right? Is the life of the car. So what we're seeing is even cars that are made like 3-4 years ago, the OEs are under cost pressure, so they put a decent system,
Right.
but it cannot match what you can buy on the aftermarket, the sound
Absolutely,
quality,
yeah.
and
So
on,
there is a market
right?
for that. And do you also find, let's say, today usage pattern? I mean, we are in Bengaluru.
Yes.
We've got great weather, but it's known for its horrendous traffic. You're just living in your car.
Yeah.
So does that also kind of
Yes,
drive a little
yes,
bit of
yes,
demand to have better
Yes.
audio as
Yeah.
because of the kind of
Yeah.
to de-stress
Yes.
the kind of driving
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
conditions and traffic.
True. Not only because of the traffic, even in the US where I am, right? So you pick up, drop off kids. You spend so much time in the car, right?
Right.
And so I listen to more music in the car than I do at
Home. A lot of us do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Private room, right?
Right. And now even podcasts you can
Yeah,
hear in the car.
and I think my car system sounds much better than my
That's
home
right.
system
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. Shiva, turning to India.
Yes, please.
Obviously, you set up an R&D base here. A lot of companies are setting up the R&D base here. Just want to understand India as a hub. Obviously low cost is a big advantage. You've got a big talent pool over here. And, so what is, this base over here going to be developing? Obviously for the Indian market and global markets as well. And is it mainly software or there's other R&D on hardware being done as well?
Yes, very, very good question. When Yahara-san, kind of one of the key initiatives he put in place was this pioneers called Growth and Globalization Initiative, right? So not only are we trying to grow, but we want to, we have a pretty strong presence in Japan, right? We're
home market,
number 3 market in the world, right? And so we see India, it's arguably number 4, number 3, it's always a today versus tomorrow number.
Right.
And we knew we had to be in India, not only to serve the Indian automotive manufacturers, but it's also a way, because of the English-speaking talent pool, for us to serve the entire world of customers outside of India. So that was our motivation to set this up, not just cost, but the access to the talent and the ability to serve the rest of the world from here. So that was kind of the first part. Second is our Pioneer is a hardware company, right? And no matter who's building what AI, it always comes down to you have to have the right hardware, right?
Right.
You must have heard OpenAI buying the hardware company. You have to have
Right.
good hardware to deliver good experience through software, right?
Right.
And so we have set up a hardware and a software team here in Bengaluru, as well as in expanding in Goa, and we continue to hire and grow that. We actually started with making products in India for the export market because that was an existing business. So that was very quick for us to come in here, start projects developed by the team here, manufactured here, exporting to the in India and as well as other countries. And now we have launched the new products for the India market, and very recently Indian automotive manufacturer also.
Right. And, you talked about talent and talent pool over here. Obviously, coming to Bengaluru is where, it's obviously the IT hub, the tech hub, automotive. But is there also, I would say in a way, challenge also because, this talent pool is also scarce. There's a pool from so many other companies. This has been one of the main challenges also getting the right talent as well, the quality of talent.
It is, yeah. That's always a challenge when you're growing, right? How fast you can hire determines how fast you can grow and deliver products. So it is a challenge. So we have 2 sites, but we are also opening satellite offices in other tier 2 cities also. For us, it's we are open to even some of our employees are remote working, right? So we are quite flexible in that manner to be able to have these 2 centers, but have these satellite employees. And we are also now starting to tap into universities and so on, so that we can expand that talent pool.
Right.
Faster.
And, Shiva, just wanted to talk, and, Yahara-san, you as well, what's next in terms of innovations? We know you're doing a lot on, let's say, image-based solution and sound, of course, which is part of your DNA. So just wanted to get a sense of, what are the innovations and where is, let's say, onboard tech or in-car tech headed to, and what are the next big trends, for example? Where do you see the market growing towards?
So in terms of innovation, as you started off with our sound, right? So we have a very powerful sound portfolio, and there we are innovating in new types of speakers, lightweight speakers, low
Especially
profile
for
speakers.
EVs, I
for
guess.
EVs, absolutely.
You need to keep the weight down.
Absolutely. And with the number of speakers in cars exceeding 20, 30 speakers, you have to have lightweight, low profile, and size matters, right? So hiding speakers inside seats, underneath, and all that. So all that becomes critical. So our sound and our design teams are very, very strong in innovating in that space. So we have some new technologies there. And then the other new...
And sorry, that you work with the OEMs as suppliers?
Absolutely,
for that?
Absolutely. Globally, we are, again, number 2, number 3 in terms of automotive car speaker suppliers. So I think that's...
So you were saying speakers is one area where you have a lot of innovation happening.
And the new space where we see, which is growing sort of in a similar trajectory is cameras and sensors, right? So with the amount of cars on the road, safety becomes an issue, right? Because and then with these distractions of phones and so on. So safety, if you have to bring that in, you need sensors, and arguably vision sensors are the ones that are most prevalent, and there are other sensing technologies. So that's one of the areas we are expanding in, and focus of this Bengaluru site is actually on vision AI. So AI is growing, processors are evolving to be able to do more at the edge in the hardware. So we are bringing that vision AI technology with camera sensors into products that can improve automotive safety generally. Being able to see better, being able to see what's in the blind spots, ensuring that the driver's environment is taken into account through vision, and give them the right assist needed to drive safely.
Right, and again, taking it forward, especially in markets like India, what about the next step of, let's say, thermal imaging? Is that one area you think is also something that we can see going forward? I mean, growth in that and more products in that technology.
Absolutely. So I think it's a stepping stone, right? It's an evolution. So first we have brought in regular camera sensors to be able to just see things that otherwise you cannot see. Then the low light sensors come in, which help, a lot of accidents happen during this twilight or early times, right? Where visibility is very poor. So the fastest way to solve that is to bring low light sensing with AI signal processing and so on. So we're already doing that with some products that gives more 360 visibility with low light vision. The next product that we are developing is for what we call all weather visibility, right? No matter what the weather is outside in terms of fog, pollution due to the smog or something, or heavy rains, you should be able to see the pedestrians at a distance far enough for you to react.
Right.
Right. So I think thermal cameras are one of the few that can solve that problem, and we're developing that as well.
And Yahara-san, looking at it globally, clearly this is, from what I understand, the first real R&D center outside of Japan.
Yeah.
So that's
2 years ago we created.
Yeah, so it's quite a big step.
Yeah.
So where does India fit in globally for Pioneer? Clearly we are, I would say, maybe in terms of revenue may not be very big, but where do you see the Indian market going, and obviously the potential for your products? And you put an Indian R&D here for reasons which are very obvious. You've got the talent pool, it's low cost. Our market is growing as well, so you're quicker to make let's say changes or develop technology locally. But I just wanted to get your sense that first R&D unit outside Japan in Bengaluru, that's quite a big step.
Thank you for asking. Actually, the first one was 2 years ago when we established the R&D center in Gurgaon.
Yeah.
At that time, I was asked, okay, what's your plan? And at that time, we had already in our mind that Bangalore is going to be a second R&D.
Right. Yeah, what I meant is, so India is the only one outside of
yeah,
Japan,
that's right. Yeah. And why India? Many reasons. One, because of the fast growing market. We better be there in the market, growing, right?
Right.
The second, talent, as we discussed, right? And talent, backed with strong experience in both software and hardware, right? And number three, I think customers. When I talked about a market, it's basically the volume of the cars, right? So consumers, right? But OEMs are growing in locally here, right? And from the, for example, export base, I think India is going to grow. That's my belief, right? And so it totally makes sense for us to have the R&D center, which is a beginning part of the building kind of organization, right? And next will be the manufacturing, the base in India, right?
Right.
And so there's no reason that that denies my briefs, right? To be in India as a first country. In between 2 years ago and today, we have established a new R&D center in Europe, Germany, which is to support mainly European OEM customers. Right? So I think being there is very important to support the customers. Right. This is for OEM part. Right?
Yeah. One would imagine typically everyone after their home market goes to China. Yeah, but I mean, so it was very interesting to know that is it language also that India has an advantage? English.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to understand why India over China.
Yeah. Absolutely, English. As Siva said, we are our home country is Japan, and 90%, more than 90% of the engineers and the people are Japanese speaking, right? So when we want to be a global, we need to have a global global talent, right? And so. India is a perfect place, not just because of English, but also when we see the process or the way the work, right? Like, for example, the development, the agile versus cities, right? So we want to accelerate, the shift to agile development. So we can learn from India in that perspective.
Right. And Yahara-san, just to get a sense of how your business is evolving. Can you share, what's the focus right now? Is it more on the OEMs? Traditionally, you've been strong in the aftermarket. And of course, there are business solutions for fleet and, B2B. So how's your business panning out, and where do you see your main growth coming from, these kind of customer bases?
We are already leading aftermarket player around the world, right?
Right.
And but 1D and 2D is declining, so market is not growing as fast,
right?
As Dashcam, for example.
Right.
So I think the growth perspective, market or business revenue perspective, OEM is the one, mainly outside Japan because we are already strong in Japan.
Right.
And then number two is like a Siva's, the Dashcam, the growing product line, right?
Right.
So I think India is another, good reason to be here.
So Shiva, turning to you, let's talk specifically dash cams. high growth area for obvious reasons, insurance. How's that market evolving? And just to get what products you all are doing, and I think a fairly simple integration as well. So that also lends itself to, let's say going in that direction too. So Dashcam's the next big thing you think for customers? I mean, they're looking at it more and more because that penetration in India is still very low.
Very low, yeah.
But I think globally it's quite high.
That's
so
right, yeah.
what's your outlook for that?
Absolutely. So we are quite strong in Japan. Japan is a very mature market when it comes to dash cameras and drive recorders, generally as they're called. And India now is in the, I would say, nascent stage. It's just started, and I think it's going to take off. Again, number of cars are exploding, which means safety becomes a concern. And at some point, if you have the misfortune of having an accident, you have to have some footage to show who was in the right and to protect yourself and so on. So I think it's going to, more and more cars will introduce. The other thing is, as you pointed out, the DIN space is decreasing, but there is no such limitation for users to install drive recorders or even digital mirrors with drive recorders built in. So we have those products which we are now planning to get.
So even digital mirrors, that's one area which you're looking
digital
at.
mirrors with built-in drive recorders. So it can serve two purposes.
Right.
It not only improves your driving safety because now you can see what's behind your car much clearly and with a wider angle view.
Yeah.
But it also records.
Captures the driving cycle.
Also.
Right.
So both of them. And they come with night vision, improving again driving for the safety purposes, and some of them also have a security feature. So you turn off the car, if it gets hit, it records, and it can generate an alarm or whatever. So those features are also part of. So I think this is going to become growth in already. I think the CAGR is 15% or something in India. So that's definitely something we'll continue to do, and we are taking some of those technologies that are proven in aftermarket and then bringing them into the OE side as well.
Right, and there's been a good response there with the OE.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and let's sticking with dash cams and let's say digital mirrors. Plans to really localize this in a big way where you get let's say it's very kind of cost effective as well, and obviously affordability is quite important in this market. So are these technologies where you're going to be investing in India, given that even penetration is low for it?
Absolutely. So first we started with the team. So now we have the competent team that's already scaled up. We launched our first aftermarket portfolio designed for the Indian market last year. That's doing well. And now we are developing advanced kind of connected AI cameras, right? So these are high-end cameras for the Japan market manufactured in India. Right. So that's the next scale of expansion Pioneer is planning, right? Not just developed and designed, but also manufactured locally for Indian and global markets.
Right. And I want to take one theme which is really core to you all, one more than the other: sound and vision. Sound, of course, you all have been pioneers, and vision is a new area. But I think these two are very interlinked in terms of driver safety, in terms of ADAS as well. So what is your kind of outlook for this? Is there going to be, especially let's take the sound element of it. Obviously, the input comes from vision, and the alerts or whatever come from sound. So just the integration of this. Is this really finally the key to having a very comprehensive ADAS system?
Yeah. So if you look at the Pioneer tagline, it's creating the future of mobility experiences. So we pride ourselves in making sure that the experience of the driver and the passengers are enhanced, both from comfort as well as the safety and security perspective, right? So and the experience for us humans comes in two ways, right? So we hear things that are going on, and as we talked about the music experience and so on, that's one. And then what we see, right? So and to improve what we see, you have to augment it with cameras. So as we said, sound, we are quite strong. The number of speakers and different types of speakers in the car has already reached 30 plus in a car. It's mind-boggling, and there's more speakers in the car than in the house.
Right, yeah.
Right, and so the cameras are in that, and sensors are increasing at that same rate. Right, they're small now, maybe 4 and 8 cameras. The higher end cars have 10 plus cameras for all the different things outside as well as inside, and so that's definitely the two parts of what is needed to improve the experience in the car, future of the mobility experience.
Right.
You talked about the mobility experience, right? But mobility doesn't limit to the four-wheel cars.
Yeah.
And actually, two-wheelers, three-wheelers.
Yes.
So I was going to turn to
Okay.
that. So clearly a two-wheeler, Yahara-san, it's a big, India's, the size of the market,
That is
largest market.
another strong reason why India.
For the two-wheeler market as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. So just wanted to share your thoughts on the potential of the two-wheeler market. It's huge, but I think one big challenge is really, getting the cost structure right. It's a very, how do I say, a very cost-sensitive market. So, and a lot of people can't hack it over here because they can't get their cost structure right. So, I would like your thoughts on, let's say, the potential of the two-wheeler market, but also the challenges it fundamentally cost.
At the CES in Las Vegas this January, we demonstrated two-wheeler solutions, which
Right.
you just saw, right?
Yeah.
And I would say almost all the OEM manufacturers visited us, and they said, wow. And we are working with some of them. And luckily in Japan, many Japanese two-wheelers manufacturers, right?
Right.
Most of them, I would say many of them are in Japan, right?
Right.
So it's a right fit in Japan, talking with the OEM customers,
Right.
looking at the market, strong market in India,
Right.
and working with the R&D teams here.
Right.
That's a perfect fit for
Right. So right now, you're looking at the, let's say, Japanese OEMs operating in India, so it will be Honda, Yamaha, whoever there is over here as well. But what about Indian OEMs themselves? Because they really have the largest share of the market. Is that something would be really where you would want to kind of get business from?
Yeah, our teams is talking with them.
Already.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yeah.
So great, and you're smiling. So obviously, there's been some good response from them as well. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. One of the message I delivered to the company, inside the company, is we are proud of being a strong mind of hardware player, right? But just being hardware is not enough because of many transformation in industry. So many things in many industry shift from hardware to software. Yes, but that sounds ignoring hardware piece, right? That's not for us. We appreciate, keep hardware and multiplying software, making the hardware's values much higher, right? That's our visions, right? So I think dashcam and sound also, right? Because speaker is only a piece of the sound solutions. That comes with amplifier and digital sound processor, the entire systems that we design, we produce, right? So I think we are in a good position to do that.
Right. And just turning to your R&D center over here, you just launched in Bengaluru, and what is going to be the focus on? What products are you going to be really focusing on out of this facility, and how do you integrate it globally? With Gurgaon as well. You've already got a facility in India. So and how does it work? I mean, obviously it's all very seamless right now.
Yeah. So as our majority of our R&D that's in Japan, the strong competence centers there are sound and infotainment. So that we already have a pretty strong core competence, and we have expansions of that in other India and Europe as well. But the new areas, which internally we call it non-DIN, right? Just for traditional reasons, and that's everything that's not sound or not infotainment, right? Which is cameras, telematics units, wireless chargers. These are for cars, trucks, and now for two-wheelers. All of that is being driven out of the India R&D center.
So really, it's the non-traditional, non-DIN.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's really. So what you're saying is, this is the base for the future. The future of your products. Yeah.
Innovation.
Right, innovation over here. So that's quite a big role for the Bengaluru center, because really, your future hinges on the kind of development then comes out of here. And how does this link up then? Is it going to be led out of Bengaluru, or obviously, you will be having, let's say, obviously, working closely with the Japanese R&D as well?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, many of our projects that we are doing have teams in both countries working closely together. The time zone overlap is a great help. So there's a significant overlap between India hours and Japan hours, so the teams can participate and collaborate. So it's almost seamlessly working together to serve. As I said, some of the products the team is making here are for customers in Japan. So definitely there has to be an R&D team in Japan also working closely with us. So that's already set up to be a kind of seamless experience for our design teams and development teams.
And working with OEMs, clearly they're in the transition to SDVs or software-defined vehicles. So clearly that's an exciting area, but a lot of transition, and obviously companies like yours have to piggyback on that transition. So just get at your sense of how do you see the integration into SDVs from your point of view. Obviously you have to get into programs earlier. Is this also an opportunity?
Yes, I think that's our next wave of development, because as SDVs are definitely the future. They are here in some small ways, mainly because of the EV companies that have brought this on. They're leading that. I think it's a transition period for the traditional OEs, I would say. They're going through the phase where they're evolving their organizations, their architectures to this SDV, and we are walking that transition along with them, right? So we are preparing our next generation vision platforms to be fully software defined, software updatable, because as we put these products into the next generation of cars, we have to be sure that the AI models that continue to evolve at a kind of blinding speed, we can, 3 years later, after the car has already been sold, we should be able to update it with the latest and greatest vision models and other things. So it becomes almost a necessity to have it software defined and software updatable.
Right. So do you think, going forward in the future, it's when you develop your hardware is, as you said, to have a little bit more headroom because the pace of which software is developing, it needs much faster processing speeds, and that really ends up being the limitation. Do you think really, it's in the hardware actually where you have to really future-proof your products?
Yes. So until now, the OEs have always put in just enough hardware to do what the car does. Unfortunately, that has meant that, a couple of years after the car rolls off, it doesn't have the latest technology, right? You cannot do that if you're going to be doing electric vehicle, right? It has to be updated with software features because it's a computer on wheels. So they have to design it with sufficient headroom to be able to do that. You cannot change your car as often as you buy a new phone, right? So that's the first wave, where you design it with enough headroom, make sure you have a very reliable hardware architecture and software update architecture also to be able to, you cannot brick the car when you do a software update, right? So as you would sometimes do your laptops and so on. So that's one. The next wave after that, I believe, is going to be hardware expandability, right? So be able to plug in cartridges, blades, as if it's a data center on wheels, right? So today it's a computer on wheels, it's going to become a data center on wheels.
Right. And, last question, you had a great conversation, Yahara-san, I want to end with you. Pioneer, really a pioneer in many ways in your space, a name, it's a household name for a lot of us who've driven cars and, have always enjoyed, let's say music in their cars. I think everyone enjoys that. And the next, I wouldn't say the next 80 years, but let's say the future. How do you see Pioneer evolving? Obviously, you will keep your core expertise, your brand for what it stands for. But I think, it's a very fast evolving, let's say, industry. Very hard to predict the future. But where do you see your company, in the whole automotive ecosystem in the future?
Well, Yeah, obviously I cannot talk about 80 years later,
Yeah,
but in
none
the
of us
next
will be there. Yeah.
even 10 years in automotive industry,
difficult.
who knows,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So it's hard to tell, but I think our our tagline, creating the future mobility experience, hardware and software, right, together, right, and being global.
That'll
I
be
think,
a core, yeah.
Right, being global is one thing that we will be different from today to next 5-10 years, right? Because we have such a good technology asset and a core asset and people, mainly in Japan today, and now starting to expand in India and Germany and the US, right? So being close to the market, people, or people meaning both the OEM customers as well as consumer, individual consumers. I think we want to be a stronger integrator, creating innovation. Innovation doesn't always come from 0 to 1, right? It comes from
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's combining and creating a
Yeah.
new, unique values, right? That's the one we want to be. And again, in 10 years later, I don't have to explain who we are. And
Yeah.
that's our
Right.
vision.
Well, we congratulate your pioneering spirit.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you.
Yahara-san, Shiva, pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking
and
to you as well.
congratulations on your facility
Thank you.
here. And wish you all the best.
Thank you for
very
coming.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for your time.